Hey guys, welcome back to Coding with Chris. I missed everyone last week, but we've got a fun reunion show here. We're coming back with Amir, who is with us again to pair with me and teach us how to do things the right way here. He's going to help us figure out today how to, we got our play map done, but I want it scaled up more than the 4x4 tiles of the world map. So we're going to scale that up, make it bigger than the actual screen, and then be able to drag it around and zoom in and out. So that's kind of the main objectives today. I have a feeling with Amir here that may be all 10 minutes of work. So we'll have to find something else to play with, but that's fine. That's cool. So welcome everybody to the stream. Thanks, Amir, for joining me today. This is I always love here.
Always fun.
Yeah, I love having you on because it's good times. Before we get started playing with the dev, I'm just curious, what cool games have you been playing lately? Just the funsies games.
It's called Death and Taxes.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a very unfun week for me.
Yeah.
But I'll be done by the 30th, and then I can go back to not doing taxes. But yeah.
That's
taxes.
a thing I've got to do.
I haven't played any games this week. It's been taxes.
Yeah, I haven't played.
This is a fantastic highlight to my week, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad of that. All right, so let's dig into this. All right, so we were doing a little chatting beforehand, and one of the things that we're gonna do is we're gonna make this the render target needs to be bigger, right?
Yep.
So, hey, Sire, what's going on? Had to give Sire one of those, you know. Arms up.
Praise the sun.
Yeah.
Praise the sun for the Dark Souls fans out there.
There you go. So we are going to hey Marco, what's going on? We're going to make this bigger than the screen. So the first thing I think we're going to have to do is get it centered, because right now, assuming I didn't shut it down, it's not centered. It is off to the side, and we want to kind of center this thing.
Okay.
So I'm assuming in the sprite, so this is where we're doing the actual sprite, putting that together. We want the sprite to ultimately be the same size, right?
Yeah, let's go ahead and set it to the 2560 by 1440, so large enough to where it covers the entire screen.
Right. And so the fact that I've only got so many cells, that should just scale that up, right?
It depends on the size of your render target. So since we made your render target bigger,
Mm-hmm.
it's well, actually, that doesn't look too bad. Let's try setting the render target back to 1280 by 720. So we'll start with the sprite first, and then we'll expand on the render target afterwards.
All right, let's see if I've got a. Is there a way to? Oh, there we go. I guess it did reload. All right, that's a thing.
Okay, so right now it's centered at 0, 0, right? Your bottom left-hand corner is basically where. So if we set it to like 100, 100, we should see it. We should see some white space show up.
Here, you mean, at the XY?
Yeah. Just to verify that we're actually, hitting the bottom left as we expect.
Okay. Yep. Your predictions are correct, sir.
Cool. So the way I do offset, a lot of people take this assumption that camera is like a hierarchy. Like you have a camera, and then there are things inside of the camera and all that stuff. And surprisingly, it's a lot simpler than that. What you end up having is a variable in. Usually, I throw it onto state until I find a better place for it. but you have an X and Y for your camera offset. So I would declare a variable args.state.camera offset X. Yep, camera X equal to whatever. Set it to 0. And then do
a
the same
Y.
thing for Y. Yep. And I would go ahead and set those as like default values. So like or equal it.
Oh, you mean memorize? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just memorize it. And then what we can do is we can use the keyboard input to increment offset Y and offset X and see how it changes our layout.
So camera is an existing object that Dragon Ruby knows about, right? This is not just some variable I've made up now.
You've made up this variable on the fly.
So camera is not a thing that Dragon Ruby just understands. We have to tell it something about it. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I would set your X and Y to be the camera offset X and camera offset Y.
In here. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. No, sire, I don't think it does. Sorry, go ahead.
Quick little thing. I'm going into Amir's world.
Awesome. Ah.
So try something like that.
I will do so. I understand that. Do I want to do this before this?
Yeah, we can throw it there, and we can kind of refactor it afterwards.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's try hitting the arrow keys and see what happens.
This works. You're going to be my hero.
You've got your pan and zoom working. Hopefully, maybe we'll see.
Well, I'm hitting my up and down arrow keys, but no worky. Those arrows don't
Is it
work.
still generating the map?
No, it should be done. Once it shows, it's done generating.
Let's put it to the console. Or actually bring up the heads up display in Dragon Ruby.
Oh, I thought it was done. Oh, thanks, Seb. How you doing? Glad you like the setup.
Yeah, the what's it called? VS Code's collaborative or live shares is pretty nice, so long as you stay in 2 separate files.
Yeah. Here we go. Now it's coming. All right. So what do we want to do here?
So try. You have access to the state globally through $state. So you can type in $state dot camera offset X, and we can see what the value is set to.
Ooh, something is really burning this down in the background.
Oh, you're adding to static primitives which don't get cleared. In your render target, I was like, I think that's okay, but if you're doing it every frame, so on line 23,
we just want
I'm going to
primitives.
change that to regular primitives. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you probably want to do a reset to clear out everything.
Let's just restart from scratch.
Yeah,
here.
it might actually be quicker to restart. Generally, I don't I try to avoid static primitives unless there's like a really very much need like performance consideration. But I've rarely needed to use static primitives for anything. So static primitives, primitives, the non-static ones are like a queue. So you have like your render queue, it goes in and it clears out every frame. And then static primitives, they stay there. So they're all by ref. So if you keep adding static primitives every frame, that's what's happening. You're adding the same sprite over and over and over again, potentially many times.
Okay. I may have this somewhere else then, because something is. Whew. Yeah, and this the main render target. But if we're on a different scene, would it still be pumping into this?
No, if the function will get invoked only if you've explicitly called it.
Okay. I mean, still, those are probably stacked up in the background. Even if I switch scenes, those statics aren't going to get cleared, right?
Statics will not get cleared, correct.
So that main map is still sitting back there, even though I'm not seeing it.
Right.
Okay. So let's try this again. That was not I still can't believe how fast Dragon Ruby is going through this noise generation and rendering all this stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully, like if we hit all of our targets on our roadmap, it's gonna be even faster.
Nice.
We're getting an AOT compiler.
Oh.
And
yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Because this right here is, I think, somewhere on the order of 150, 170,000 cells that it's going through.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And you saw how quick it rendered this. That's not as big as many cells, but still a lot. All right. So, okay, this is better. Still some stuff going on back there, but better. So, let's see here. So, if I do
so you called it args.state.camera.offset_x.
Yep. Currently 0, which is true because I haven't pushed anything. So.
Yep. So if you dismiss the console and then hold the right arrow key, let's see what happens.
Okay, well, it's not actually moving anything, but let's see if it's changing the value.
Yep, we can see if it changed the value. And there's history, so you should be able to press up.
It's not changing the value.
Okay.
So yes, the console animation is very slow, sire.
Yeah, and it might be. Let's see if we can isolate. Tangent, of course. Let's see if we can isolate where the slowness is coming.
Yes, please.
So if we comment out everything inside of your scene's tick function, theoretically it should be super fast, right?
In
your specific scene.
Okay, so in the play map, yeah, I would assume so.
Yep.
If it's not, then I've got something major bad going on here.
Yeah, so there might be something else that could potentially be causing the slowdown.
Yeah. Would it rebuild?
Right, we we can. I'll give you a nice another little helper method that I love having.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, it's still slow there.
All right, put something in Amir's world. You can throw that on the screen.
Okay. Ah, frame rate. Nice.
Yep.
Just, I'm assuming I can just throw it in the ticks here.
Mm-hmm.
Boo, ba-doo, boo, boo. Dude, that's gross.
All right, so we're getting 5 FPS. So what other, but when it gets to that tick function, let's try doing puts caller, so we can see the stack trace and see what other functions are invoked before it gets to this point.
Just out of curiosity, what's in main here? Find default state, then it just either goes to this or the other. So that shouldn't be doing much of anything.
Right, so it looks like main, yeah. It looks like a line. It's doing exactly.
Playmap scene.
Playmap scene line 1.
That's
okay.
Just the class def.
Yeah, that's the instance, I guess.
Yeah. And that's coming from main 9.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing the tick and passing args in. But, so there's nothing else going on. That's so gross.
Let's put the label at the top of your tick function, your entry point into your application.
My main, in the main RB, you mean?
Yeah, like def tick args, like at the top level. Yep. And I would say just comment out 11 through 18. Let's see if we can get up to the 60 FPS first.
Yep. Well, that shouldn't even be there. That must have been from the last reset.
So let's we'll go. Yeah, I would say close it out. So we're starting from a clean slate, and then what this will help us. And do your you're not doing any construction of classes at this point or anything, right?
At this point,
you're doing
no.
it on the instance of the scene.
Yeah.
So theoretically, we should be at 60 FPS with the label being the only thing there.
Yeah,
cool.
Give or take. So that's good. So now if I were to do this, this shouldn't really do anything. That's just setting some state variables. That shouldn't have any effect.
Right. Still looking great.
Yeah.
All right, so after that you do the current scene, and then when the scene is deployed, you initialize your map scene, and then you do the create the instance of your map scene, right? So let's look at the constructor for your map scene.
So the initialize is just setting a variable, and this is a singleton pattern thing.
Yep.
It should only ever be created once.
I think that's fairly tame.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. The only thing this is what does all the work, this generate play map. Okay. That should only be happening
And when does generate playmap get called?
That gets called, I think, from the world map.
Okay.
Not world. Ah, that was getting called here. Oh. Oh. So this should happen once. It should set this variable, and then it shouldn't happen again.
Okay, let's verify that. Yep, so you initialize the variable, and you have a return if selected nil.
Yeah, so this gets set. That's when you click on the main map and you want to start here. You say yes.
Okay.
It sets that selected world tile so that it knows what you're starting with. So, and then the play map new is what actually generates the map internally. It uses the noise, creates the array, does all that stuff.
So line 34, is that where the meat of the work is done, or is it during the construction?
No, this is... I don't know. Oh, I did all that. That's the generic map. Yeah, so I've got to go to play map. So the generate map is basically doing this. So this doesn't do the Perlin noise. No. No, the new of the generic map.
So we should be able to uncomment all the way to at least the new, right? Since the new is not doing anything.
Right. I can hear.
And I would comment out the generate map line. Okay. So we should still be at 60 FPS for this.
Still got to do that.
Yep.
So we're already at 5 FPS here. I think this is probably coming from the map, not the play map. Guess.
Okay.
Let's just see. Start from ground zero. I don't know, chat. What's the answer?
Sorry, it doesn't look like. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's creating a new instance every time. So, at least it didn't seem like it was.
Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, this is the world map. We haven't even gotten to play map yet, so it's got to be in here somewhere.
Okay, so let's take a look at the world map. See what's going on there.
Done. Just gonna bypass this altogether.
Okay.
Okay, so the main calls the start scene and the start scene, which is bad name for it, but you know, naming things.
Yeah, I usually call it like root scene, and then I'll have all my scenes like key off of root scene.
Yeah.
Index scene.
Well, probably the next thing I'm going to do is make a main menu that you come into so that I can load and save stuff, so I don't have to wait for this to generate every time I want to test something. Let's see. So we've got the menu tick, which is showing those buttons.
Okay.
And this is a singleton. So in the setup, only does it on tick count 0. This is what does all the this does the generation, the load world.
Okay.
So that should only be happening on tick count 0.
So let's do a return, I guess after line 26 and see what our speed looks like.
You can comment this stuff out.
Yeah. It looks like you have a set render target there also.
Yeah.
But you're not using static parameters, so I think we'll be fine there.
Yeah, I think I got rid of it. So let us restart.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, well, yeah, because it's not. Yeah, we've got 60 FPS at that point.
Cool.
Because it's not actually doing anything yet. So
right,
if
you're getting a checkerboard because the texture hasn't been.
Sure.
All right.
So if I just do the generate world map.
You might have to call, reset.
Oh, there it's going. It's.
Yes, hands on head.
Yeah. Right.
And programming is like this. The best analogy I can think of, it's like putting on really, really tight, like penny loafers for 8 hours and then taking them off and relishing in how good it feels to take off those shoes.
Yeah.
This is what programming is. For some reason, we just love it.
And the thing that really drives you nuts is that, just generating that it's starting to tick back up the FPS, but I think it's still trying to catch up to what it did.
Okay. So let's look at that generate map function and see what potentially is a slowdown here.
So the world map new. This is. So this is the different Perlin noise maps that are getting generated.
Okay.
Then it creates a bunch of tile objects and stuffs them into an array at each of those cells.
Okay. And this happens. Does this happen once? Is like memoized after the first generation?
Yes, this happens once at the tick count 0. Then it world map. Yep.
And how large is the width and height of this map? How big is this thing?
It's pretty big. Let's see. So we want that is in the. Oh, that's in the scene that it does that.
BNJ, that's exactly. You took the words right over my mouth. I was like, is this being memoized? Are we sure?
Right? Yeah. It must not be. Let's see.
So what is the size of this thing?
Target this looking for.
There's 320 by 180.
Yeah. It's not. And it's
not terribly large.
No. But if it's doing that every tick because it's not memoized somewhere, that's going to be a problem. Because for each one of those cells, there's 2 Perlin noise and 1 linear noise getting generated for every one of those things. Then an object gets generated. So that would be nasty. All right, so something isn't S.
Yeah, so let's double check the memoization and make sure that
Should be though, because that's so in the world map. Generate map.
were you explicitly calling the generate map function instead of accessing the map accessor variable?
Well, this is no.
Okay.
Here I am, but this is inside the generic map, which is the parent of the world map and the play map. So
right.
I extracted this out to the accessor, which calls the generate map.
Right, that does the memoization.
Yeah. So this should be memoized. Hey, Feta.
And can we search for calls of the generate map function itself? We're going to get these shoes off. It's going to happen.
Yeah, so the play map ooh.
Yeah, so should that be an attribute accessor to just .map?
It should be, yes. Because that will call that. However, this is down in the play map. Yeah, so we're getting yes, that was an issue, but we're having a problem before
right?
this.
It's supposed to only execute one.
Yeah. Well, not to mention the fact that this is in the play map. We haven't even gotten there yet when we start having the problem.
Right.
Typos on instance variable names, that could very well be something goofy. So it looks like the only place that generate map gets called is here now. But
okay.
Are we calling this .map somewhere that it shouldn't be? Doesn't look like it.
So let's put what if we put just a put statement, a puts caller in generate map to see if it gets called multiple times.
Still have that other one. I don't want to get confused with the other. Take this one out for.
Yep.
That should be.
Slight tangent. How did you get the not search your backup files? I guess VS Code. You can put like an ignore path or something.
Oh yeah. Not what I wanted to hit. Yeah, you can do an include, so I could just do a or exclude files and stuff. I think by default it starts at the root of the folder you got open. VS Code. So
what we're hoping for is, I guess when we restart.
Yeah, I gotta restart.
You should only see one invocation of puts caller.
Would hope.
One would hope. I think there was like an announcement that there's a new like LSP server Ruby plugin thing that came out.
Oh.
From the Ruby core team. Just an aside.
Cool. Look that up.
So playmap starts seeing load world. Load world calls generate map and generic generic map.map is the invocation right there. And that seems to be the only one. It doesn't seem like it's doing any more than that.
So what? But at this point, we're getting, or it looks like what it's doing. Because see, this looks like it's kind of ticking up.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, not anymore. Yeah. So what is going on here that would be? All right, what? Let's see about some other things. So in my main, this shouldn't be doing much of anything.
Yeah, I don't think doesn't look like anything crazy is happening there.
Yeah. So what happens if I take the tick out? I've just got something going batshit crazy in there. Not.
Yeah, the Ruby LSP from Shopify is exciting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they further expand that with Sorbet and a lot of their custom compilation stuff they're adding on top of Ruby too. Ruby also.
Yeah, I hope they don't go back to Ruby.
Ruby 2.
Ooh, okay, so it's not the menu stuff.
So let's decrease the size of the map generation from 300 by 200 to
less,
something tinier.
Yeah.
Because if we see a significant speed up there, then we know it's the map construction itself that's causing the slowdown.
Yeah.
And maybe we can kind of kick that can down the road. Okay, we have just a very tiny map.
Right. Yeah. So that is in here.
So if we do 32 by 18, and then increase the tile size by 10, so to 40.
Oh, times 10. Yep.
Math. You can't get away from it in game dev.
Damn it.
Yeah, for 2D game, especially for 2D games, geometric algebra is geometric algebra and linear algebra are the two things that you wish you paid attention to in college, basically.
Well, that's way better. So yeah, there is something there. It is the size of that map. It's just overloading something somewhere. All right, so let's put the rest of the stuff back, and we'll just work with a smaller map for.
It's a very tiny map. So and this actually is this is actually a great lesson. When it comes to games, there's performance considerations that you have to think about. But you'll always reach a point where no matter how fast the engine is, it's not fast enough.
Yeah.
And you have to start thinking about, well, can I use fibers to kind of reticulating splines and have a progress bar show up and have it incrementally create your map over time.
Yeah.
Different types of progress bars, different type of techniques, really cool things that in Ruby we actually have fibers, which is great. The semi-routines are a really cool thing. And looks like a map.
Yeah, kind of, I suppose. I'm thinking what's happening is it's just stretching things because so it's scaling these things to a weird resolution, would be my guess.
So with our math, we minimized the we decreased the map size by 10 and then increased the tile size by 10.
Right.
So I would think that'd be proportional.
Think.
One would think. Favorite subject in college? And like coming back to it, especially the math stuff, I appreciated so much more when with this application to game dev, instead of like these square matrices and like here's a graph on your TI-83 calculator that never connected with me. But the moment it's like, oh, I need to figure this out so I can shoot this arrow in this specific direction, it just makes math so much more fun.
Then it seems useful.
Yeah, it actually seems useful. It's like, wow. All right, so we have our width and height of 32 by 18, and then we increased our tile size to 40.
I mean, just for giggles, it does. Doesn't do anything. What? Should have done something.
You might have to reset to reinitialize the thing.
Ooh. What?
So get tile at. So there's an assumption somewhere else on the tile size.
Yeah. Well, there's an assumption that I have a tile to fill the entire size of the render. So.
Okay. So we want to decrease the size of something. What if we do a search for? Yeah. What happens if we do a search for 320? Do we get anything back?
No, just the thing I commented out. What's this running against? Oh, it's where I click. So
Gotcha.
get tile at XY. So it's using my
you have your you have your camera space, and you convert that to world space.
Yeah, so that's what's getting the click for, hey, start here, so it knows which tile I'm clicking on. But if I don't have a tile there because it's smaller than the thing, I'm clamping this to the 1280 by 720, so I can't click outside the window and have a problem, but it's not clamping it to the size of the actual render, the actual
right. So this is actually pertinent to camera stuff, is that once we start getting into zoom and scale, you're going to have a concept of world space and camera space. So you're going to have this disconnect. This disconnect will eventually happen, where you have to say, okay, if I click my mouse here, where in the world is it actually should it actually resolve to?
Okay. Well, maybe that's the thing that we want to fix first, then. Maybe I'm not doing this the right way.
Yeah, so as a naive thing, I think since we decrease everything by 10, what happens if you do a division on your X and Y? And this will confirm that it's a camera space to world space kind of thing.
Ooh. That's a little nasty. So that works. And then
it's climbing back up. Yeah. So instead of dividing, like you have, go ahead and let X and Y be the full 1280 by 720. But when you get the tile, do an integer division by 10 on line 49. we have a helper method on numeric called idiv, and it'll do integer division for you.
Oh. That?
Mm-hmm. So idiv 10. Yep.
See, this is why you're here. All right. So now, as it resets, I should be able to click here. That's fine. See, it's still seeing stuff under here, which is weird. Yeah, and if I click there, yeah, so
idiv. Yes, just like the iPhone, idiv.
so
we can dig into the performance, aspects of the map generation if we want to do that. Take that segue, or we can scale the render target up and try to get the smaller map rendering. Choose your adventure.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking we want to get this performing better or figure out what that is, because otherwise it's just going to slow everything else down, all the other troubleshooting, because, man, pulling up that
and it didn't used to be like that, right? Did something?
Well, no, I don't
It's
think
always been slow like this.
Yeah, I haven't really paid attention to pulling up the console, but it's there's always been some issues. So I think it may be good to just go ahead and if we can unscrew that at least a little bit. Okay. But this is still problematic. Dividing by the tile size, isn't it?
So the tile info window, the X and Y are basically the mouse coordinates that are being sent over, right?
I think so. Yeah, mouse X and Y.
Mouse X and Y. So you we've got the click, and then it goes into the tile at, and what's happening is that when that, if you clicked in the very top right quadrant, when you divide X by 10, it should go down to 128. But our tile scale is what, 32 by 18? Is what we had it at.
The tile size itself,
or sorry, the width and height that we had it at was 32 by 18, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So the going from this idea of going from camera space to world space, you have to apply this scale proportionately. So what is the scale for? So if I bring up my calculator and I have 1280 times what gives me 32. So that would be more math.
Can we just go back to setting colors with your superpower? That was more fun.
So you want to idiv by 40, and that will take you from camera space to world space.
Okay, so
instead of idiv 10, yep.
Oh, it wasn't this. Oh crap! I gotta figure out a way to name these better so I keep getting lost. So we want to divot by 40 instead of the 10, because it's the 10 that we divided by plus the tile size of, or times the tile size of 4. So we actually had taken the tile size into account.
Right.
Can't
yeah,
just
and I
divide.
think that's what we're going to evolve to.
Yeah. Yeah, just the quick and dirty now, the hammer and duct tape version of this. But yeah, I think you're right, sire. Where it needs to go. What the hell have I done here? All right, let's just... Okay, so I'm still... If I click out here, still goes boom. All right. I need to put out what it thinks the...
When you hover over, I saw like something changing when you
Yeah.
like, move the mouse around. Is that where it gets the coordinates from?
I think I'm putting the coordinates out to that. It's not where it gets it from. Can't remember exactly all the information I put in there. So coordinates, this is my actual cell coordinate, the tile coordinate. The coordinates that are there.
Which looks to be, so if you go all the way to the top right, we should see 3218, right? Other
Yes.
top right. All right, so our conversion from camera space to world space is correct.
I think so. Seems to be, because this is, if I could get my mouse up there pixel hunting, but yeah, 3117 because it's zero based.
It's zero based.
Yeah. So that's the correct tile address.
Mm-hmm.
So why would it be Crokin on?
So if we try to click, let's look at the stack, the call stack, and see what we can reason about.
Start
So
seeing.
it looks. Try map click.
Yeah, so that is in the.
Start seeing line 93.
Oh, did I not save this?
You're so used to the hot load. You're just like, what do you mean? What do you mean it doesn't save?
See, yeah, now this is coordinate 7-4.
So we were actually. Wait, so what does that mean? Do we IDiv 10?
We IDiv 40.
Yeah, so
right?
we want to go right.
So I think, yeah, we overcorrected there because I think, well, no, because I did save this time, right?
You need a save on loose focus plugin.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, so now we're getting the 3117. So this is the correct tile address here.
Okay.
Now if I click out here, it still blows up. Damn it.
Okay.
All right, I need
to...
But what's the actual error? Ambiguous index or invocation.
Clicked _ tile. Are you accessing something? If you scroll up, maybe a bit more information. So clicked _ tile. Do you have something in state called clicked _ tile?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look at that. So where is that property being set?
Oh, where is it set?
Mm-hmm. Is it ever being set? Would be another question.
It's initialized to nil.
Okay. Doing or equal nil will always make it nil.
Well, I think this is, yeah, assign default state. So this is, oh. No. It should be nil the first time. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's nil, do that. So in the start scene, yeah, and then we set it if I click somewhere. So this is on the world map. When I click, it says this is the tile you've clicked to start on. So I'm going to assign it. So this is what's doing the get tile at. Trying to assign it to here.
So get tile at, let's go into that function, see what's going on in there.
Well, that's what we were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, but we got, okay.
Yeah, so we are doing the.
Yeah,
doing a divide again.
Well, because this divides by the tile size. Maybe, sire. I'm not sure. Because this is the thing that's actually translating my mouse coordinates to tile coordinates to an array address, right?
So let's print out those two values: tile x and tile y and c. And we can, I would even print out the actual tiles array. Is that yeah, it can be an IVAR.
Oh, that won't be a terribly helpful because just classes. A bunch of objects, yeah.
Because classes.
But what we can do, I think, that's only the size of the X. All right, so the array size is 32 by 18. It's given me an address of 31 by 6.
Which should be a valid address.
Yeah, so the hell's the problem?
So what if we put tile 31? Instead of tile 0?
Okay.
Looks like you have 18 correct number of values in there.
Still nothing's blowing up. So what happens if I do this? I get a world tile. That's okay. This isn't problematic.
Okay.
So what's the actual blinking error? All right, I don't understand this. Is this something coming from Dragon Ruby or superclass info lost?
It's an mruby limitation where it can only go so far up the call stack.
Oh, I see.
Annoying. So
what's the actual error?
Try putting a put statement right after get tile at.
After the call to it?
Yeah, it's like, this worked successfully. Congratulations.
Yeah. Right? This. That's not what we're getting, though. We're dividing the X and Y coordinates by 10.
And do we need to do that?
Yeah,
if you're already doing it inside of the... I guess you wouldn't.
Yeah, because my X coordinate is actually being translated already.
Are you doing a IDiv or a float? When you're doing the division for divide by tile size, is that an integer division or is that a floating point division?
It should be integer because I'm doing a floor.
Okay.
Here, yeah, that because floor turns it to an integer, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, I'll put a put statement right after the invocation to see if that actually succeeded. Puts WTF. My favorite puts is puts please work. Please work. Please work.
Okay, that worked. Yeah, what the hell's going on here now? Oh, probably because we're spamming the...
Yeah, we're spamming the console. So we're getting the tile, but the moment you clicked is when it blew up?
Yeah.
Okay, so where, do you have any calls to if inputs.mouse.click?
If who, what's, huh?
Do you have any conditionals for if args.inputs.mouse.click equal true, do something? Where are your click events? You got a tile! Success!
Yeah. I mean, yay? We got a tile?
We got a tile.
Let's see. Try the map click. I think this is where all that stuff happens.
Okay.
Okay. Turn if we're not clicking or if...
The .no question mark, could we change that to just be implicitly falsy and not check for no? Or what's it called? If not args. If you not the thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we want it to not be nil.
And we do another get tile at line 94, where we're not doing any kind of division of the mouse position. We got here too.
I don't think we want I don't think this is problematic.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh, okay, the tile info window is where things are, it's going and getting them when it's changing when we're scrolling around. That's what's updating that window. Right. So this IDiv 10 thing may be problematic. Yeah. I think
does it need to happen over in the mouse click? Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That was not the right place to do. Oh boy, I've got to factor that. Now that crap in two places. Oh yeah, that's kind of gross.
Right there.
Now, if I click here, what? It'd save it, right? Yeah. Huh.
So it's failing that intersect rect for try start button click.
Given two objects that respond to. Oh.
Did we? Try map click. We want to check to see if the mouse is clicked, and we want to make sure that the click tile exists. Doesn't exist.
Right, but I think what's happening is we've got. I don't think this is where the problem is. I think this is where the problem is. We have those buttons down there. We're checking for intersection,
Right.
but things are out of whack now.
Because you don't want to perform a click if you're clicking a button.
Right. I'm gonna. All right. I'm just gonna say, because
Yeah, I agree. The git tile should, instead of having the idivs everywhere, we can have whatchamacallit, the actual git tile function do the resolution in the division by 10.
which I actually think it is. I don't know that these div by 10s are actually necessary now,
Right.
because we're
Because
already
you're already dividing by the tile size. Yep.
I think what the problem is actually here. This intersect rect is getting all dorked because we're not passing an actual thing here. Oh, but which one is it?
Right. So you, if we go back to the intersect rect,
Well, there's several
you
of
want
them.
to. Right. So you're doing args.state.select. You want to make sure that that is a no before attempting to access it, right? We want to make sure that select start button isn't nil, and then the rect itself is not nil.
Open about.
It's line 86.
Oh, I've got both. Oh wait.
Yeah, both
that is-
conditionals have rect in there.
Oh, we want to make sure that the actual start button.
Right. And we probably want to do the same thing on line 79.
Yeah. Okay. Crap. It's always the little things. Start this. Sure where we think we are.
Okay.
So if I click down here, oh, nothing happens anywhere ever. I mean, we're protected. But too protected.
And we want to say, so on line, just to make sure that on line 93, I didn't do the Because on line 93, that used to be this, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So we want to try a map click, and what we're looking for is we want to see if the mouse is clicked, and args.state.clicked_tile needs to also be set, or
Right.
should not be set.
At that point, correct. It should not be.
Right. Because on line 95 is where we do the actual setting of the tile.
Right. And then if I click the cancel button from that pop-up, we set it back to nil.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. So that if I click somewhere else again, I come back through. So if I click here, balls.
Clicked tile.
I think because there's no not finding a tile there. I click here, so that works. So if I'm clicking in here, fine, but this should still be valid because there's still a tile under here, but it's not.
Okay.
All right, what'd you do?
No, we're not getting to line 96, right? Let's
Correct.
got this one too. So in the get tile at, are we still printing out the X and Y position?
Yep.
Just like that.
I mean, just something doesn't seem right. Wait a second. Oh, because it still does that when I... All right, so let me click.
You can kind of cheat here.
Yeah.
So now I'll only print it if a click actually propagated through. I didn't save the file. Yeah, you might have to save on.
Save. It just doesn't like your Control S.
Which I'm not surprised, because of course mine is escape :W.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, so it's not printing now. So if I click in here, got this one too. All right, good. I click here, no bueno. But it didn't.
It did get to gut this one too, which is good, right?
Well, the first time when I clicked where the map was.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. But then it got. Oh, yeah. See, that's 294 is not cool.
That's not correct, right?
Because we're just
so
doing
you're dividing by the tile size, but you also have to take into consideration the width and height of the actual world. Are we doing our conversion to world space correctly is what I'm wondering.
Well, I mean, according to... wait a minute. This... We are not doing it in one case. I bet you. All right, so we've got two places we're calling this. Here, tile info window that's showing us the right stuff is doing the idiv 10.
Right.
This one is not.
Right. And as Sire said, that it's probably we probably want. Yeah, we can jury rig it to make sure it works.
Yeah.
But we want to move the consideration of idiv10 to be inside of the tilelet function.
Yeah.
And that will be responsible for going to camera space to world space.
Okay. Jeez. All right, so that solved that problem. All right. But we're progressing, which is a good thing. All right, so now we want the get tile at, but we don't want to just divide by 10 always. We want to...
Yeah, we want to reason through the actual, specific division itself. And so the question, yes, we know, totally, yeah. What we're trying to do is verify that putting the idiv10 worked at the call site, and now we want to move it in so we can remove the duplication.
Yep.
And the question is like, what is the math to take our pixels and move it into world space?
Right, because we happen to divide by 10.
Tile size is not enough. Right.
Yeah.
So dividing by the tile size isn't enough. So what else do we have to divide by to get the math correct?
So we got to divide by the tile size times the math. What is so we've got the size of the actual render target, right? Is 1280 by 720.
Right.
That was, if you divide that by 4, I think we get the 320 by 180, right?
Right.
And then we divided that by 10. So what we want... Which
is your divide by 40.
What we want is the target size divided by the tile size and then divided by the ratio of the map size to the target size. Holy shit.
Right.
I think my brain just melted.
Yeah. Welcome to camera space to world space stuff. So 1280, and if we had 32 tiles, what does that give us? That gives us our 40, and our tile size is 4. So that does the tile size need to be larger? Because at 320 by 180, your tile size was 4, right?
Yes.
Your tile size needs to be 40. Your math is correct. It's just our tile size is incorrect.
Yeah, so we have to adjust the tile size. If we bring down the number of cells, we have to grow the tile size so that it's still the same end size. So, all right. Good grief.
So if you set the tile size to 40, I think you can remove the idivs everywhere.
Do we want it 40 or 10?
Because originally it was, when you had a 320 by 180, the tile size was 4. But since we decreased the map size by 10, we need to increase the tile size by 10.
Right. So this, and then all the idivs can go away.
Right. Map size over time. Yeah, and that's a weird relation. You bring up a good point, Sire. There's like a weird relationship between the tile size and the width and height of the map.
So we could ultimately calculate this, but just making sure that the width times the tile size always equals the target the render target size is what we need, right?
Right.
Okay, that's weird, but okay. That's because, why is that?
Are you scaling proportionally? So if I have 18 times 40 is what? That is 720.
Yeah.
You are scaling correctly. What is the size of your render target?
Should be 1280 by 720. Yeah.
1280 by 720. So that part's, and when you're drawing the tiles onto the page, are you making, or when you're putting the primitives in, are you making any assumptions as far as the size of the primitives, like the size of the actual solids or what have you? How are you doing the positioning of your?
Question. So the world map is where I get the sprites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's an array of the tile.sprite. So that sprite.
What does it assume?
Okay, so we assign the tile size to this thing. When we create a tile object,
mm-hmm.
It has an x coordinate, a y coordinate, and a size. The x and a y being the tile coordinates, not the mouse coordinate.
That makes sense.
So we're passing the size in this case. In the original case would have been 4, but now it's 40. The tile width and tile height get assigned that. And then, so this is how I'm creating the actual sprite for that cell.
Oh, your blooms.png. The width and height probably have to stay 4.
Oh, because the PNG size itself isn't changing.
Correct.
Oh, balls. So that means all right, well, for now, later on, that's where we're going to want that to be a,
yeah, because you can increase the size of your sprite by 10, but yeah, that's why you're getting the skewed layout, because
yeah, because I was
your sprite.
Yeah, because it's trying to chop that big file up into 4x4 chunks. I mean, the file is written in 4x4 chunks. Then I just told it to
40x40.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the tile X and sprite X and sprite Y, that's another question of how is that being computed, because that's your offsets, right?
Well,
so how are you computing those offsets?
Oh, these are coming from a definition. So these are just defined as hard-coded things.
Perfect.
So it looks up this type, says this is what I want it to be. So these are my coordinates in my PNG file to get.
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Apps are hard. All right. This looks more like a thing. Okay.
This is good.
Yeah. So really the only difference then is the number of cells was just overloading something. I can't do that much all at once.
In a single frame, right? You have to think about using potentially fibers or splitting that across multiple frames.
Okay. So let's say we start here. All right, I'm still at 52 frames. 50.
So let's use our arrow keys and see what happens. Do your arrow keys work?
Doesn't appear that they do.
All right, so let's look at your camera.
Things are getting
stuff.
slow. Things are getting very slow again. Still 0. That's
and
not.
how? Yeah, let's look at your. Where did we do our left, right, and up, down inputs?
So that would have been in the other scene.
Yeah. It's not camera. We're doing camera underscore instead of camera dot.
That would do it.
Progress. We'll get there.
I don't like this, so it's crapping out. This is working though, so huzzah.
So this is how you can, like, conceptually, this is what panning would look like right here. And so let's add another camera property called scale. And we'll set the scale to default the value to 1.
So
and
if
then we want to multiply the width and height by the scale.
The width of this, yep. And once you change the width and height of the sprite, it'll automatically scale that up and down, right? The display.
Yep. So we'll, and I'm back in Amir's world. So zoom in and zoom out.
Okay, so you're just using the I and O keys. Gotcha.
Yep.
And we could always convert that to mouse wheel and stuff if we.
Exactly.
Same logic. All right, where the hell was? That's in the. All right, so.
Yeah, that's what you get for going into Amir's world. You get random random nonsense.
All right, so that should just work, guaranteed, first time, right?
We need it. We deserve it.
We got it. Holy bat crap, Robin. Hey, sire.
So now the next thing is, look at that. So it did only take me 10 minutes to do this part. It was just getting here.
Yeah.
now the next piece of math that you need to think about is that when you zoom in, you want to stay centered in your. If we assume that, yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm looking at this little thing here. When I zoom
Right.
in, I don't want this to move. I want the stuff outside it to move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what you want to do is that you have your width and height, and you want to take those computed values and then center it inside of 1280. So I would extract the multiplication that you're doing for width and height.
Mm-hmm. What do we want to call this?
W.
No.
I mean W colon W. That's how it's supposed to work, right? You should see my commit messages for like games that only I work on. They're horrible.
Oh, I know. I've got the same problem. Trying to be a little more careful here because this is community stuff.
No. Oh yeah, totally. All right. So yep, and those will be sprite width, sprite height. Don't forget your comma.
All right. So that shouldn't have changed anything really here yet.
Right.
I mean, now it
syntax
did.
errors. Where are your syntax errors? You forgot a comma after the H.
Draw width and draw height. That'd be. Yeah, I've got the same problem here. This map is too big for. I'm gonna have to.
But it's at least responsive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it now, but it's the same kind of issue. I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to put that together. So, got the in. Ooh.
Right. And so you want to take those. scaled values, and then, and you want to do a subtraction from 1280 for the width, and then 720 for the height. And so the idea here is, if we go back to Amir's world, so let's say your computed width was let's say it ends up being, based on your scale, it ends up being 800, right? Because you zoomed out a bunch of times.
Right.
So if we do 1280 minus 800, you take half of that value. That's how much you want to shift your camera over.
Right. So, and if we're zooming in, that gets bigger, so it goes negative. So we're
which is good because you still want it to be but that will do it right there.
So,
so you'll want to set the so
X.
You want to do the delta, and then your camera offset will be those specific X and Y values. Delta X will be 1280 minus. Perfect.
Not equal. The right button.
Yep. And then your Y offset would be that. So that gives you the full delta, and we want to divide that by 2 to get just the specific margin.
Here.
And then you want to set camera offset to be those values if you want.
Yes.
No, the width and height are correct. Your X and Y is what's going to change.
Right. This. Yeah. Wait,
Go ahead and put it in there, and then we'll
in here? Just
yeah.
replace this?
For now.
I'm confused. Well, I guess we're just working on the zoom, not the moving at the moment.
Yeah, and the way the moving comes into play is that your camera has a specific center that it's focusing in on. So then you want to offset by that center on top of it.
Okay. Oh, look at that. All right.
So if you add 640, so if you set your camera offset for X and Y to 360 and 640.
The initial one?
Or 640 and 360.
Oh, yeah, because we're...
Yeah.
I'm catching up. So that should put things back to right.
And that will be added to the X offset.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I was trying to move it around and it wasn't moving, but that's because we've done away with this part by replacing it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So on line 51, you want to do plus args.state.camera offset X.
Yes, that is correct. Sorry, I got to restart that. Because it's memoized. All right.
So if you zoom out, we should stay centered, hopefully.
Did not.
Divide that by 2.
Divide this by 2?
Yeah, let's try it. There's a sample app for this, but it's fun trying to kind of like reason through and just the camera offset X.
Oh, just this part. This part.
Oh.
This.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Almost there.
Okay. Moving.
Okay.
That looks not centered, but I think it's because I've moved it.
Yeah, it's getting better. So let's actually go to the sample app, and we can kind of see the entire, like, air quotes, how you're supposed to do it.
So where is
it'll be under advanced rendering. 07_advanced rendering.
Okay.
And there should be simple camera in there. Yep. 07_simple camera. So if we look at the source code for that. So on line 1415, that's where we've set the like center value.
Right.
And then we set the scale on line 16. Right.
Yep.
And then at some point I do keyboard input, I know. So let's look for actual keyboard input. Yep, so there's your plus and minus.
Oh.
And so that's where I...
scale up, scale down. Yeah.
Scale up and scale down. And then the actual rendering is where the magic happens. So when I go into args.outputs, so that's what you're supposed to do. So you take your camera location, and For me, I'm centering. Can we actually run this sample up so you can kind of see what it looks like?
I can try. Term up here, and then I've forgotten how we run things from in here. Oh, we just have
navigate. Yep. Just the run command.
Just run.
You have to go into the actual directory, the advanced rendering.
Simple camera.
Are you running a CSH for your or Bash?
I think this is Bash.
Okay. And then /run should hopefully work.
Yep.
So we're centering on the location of the player. So you can kind of think of that as your I guess your pan and zoom of the terrain.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you zoom out, I think it's plus to zoom in and minus to zoom out. You'll notice that the player stays in the exact area. Oh, Geometry Dust! That game is so great. Such a fantastic game. And then plus to zoom in.
Right. Okay. All right. I think I'm understanding. Need some refactoring and renaming in my code. Better understanding, but
that's a general idea of you basically have your offset and your scale, and then your a point of focus that can change, right?
Yep.
For me, in this specific situation, the player is always the point of focus. So we can actually look at an even more advanced one just to see like what can be done with these cameras.
Yeah.
So if you go in, there's a under 99_genre, and I believe it's platformer. Yeah, if we can expand that, yep, Kleptofrog is what we want to look at. So the idea behind this game is that you're a frog that steals mugs from the office that you're like the pet frog for an office, and when all the workers go home, you use your tongue to swing around and steal all the mugs, and everyone's like, yeah, he does that. That's cool. We just take it back out of the aquarium. So if you press space, that will shoot out your tongue, and then you use left and right to swing.
Oh.
And then, yep, if you shoot and then you use left and right to swing, bad collision box.
Oi.
There you go.
Oh, and then you let go.
And then when you build momentum, you press space again. Yep, there you go. And you see the little mini map in the bottom right-hand corner?
Ah.
Those are where all your mugs are.
Okay. And so this is just this is a good example.
So here's where it gets interesting. So this thing has a built-in map editor in God mode. So if you press / on the keyboard, that'll take you into air quotes God mode.
/.
Maybe G for God mode. There it is.
Okay, yeah.
All right, and now you can use plus and minus to zoom in and out.
Oh, nice. Oh, and it's
so look how large this map is.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that there's easing. You can see kind of like how it eases in and out.
Yeah.
And you can actually play in the zoom mode. So if you press G again, it'll toggle off God mode, and you can actually play with this. This map completely zoomed out. So this is like, this takes that foundational like simple camera, and then it adds a few more properties that give it that nice ease in and out, like the smooth stop easing. When you, if you press plus really fast, it doesn't just snap, it will actually, you know, expand into it.
Yeah.
And it's all based on, instead of like a hierarchy of, oh, I've got a camera, it's this idea of, you've got your offset, your scale, your delta, like your easing momentum for your scale and whatnot, and those things in combination is what creates this this effect.
Yeah.
But the foundational piece is the simple camera, and then you can do some pretty crazy things like that.
So this is, yeah, so I'm just pressing minus once. It does all this, and so it doesn't let the map go outside the, like it's moving the map if I zoom in past.
Right. And I could do a better job of centering it when you zoom all the way out. Right, instead of like just clamping it to the bottom left, actually have it fully centered. But well, what I wanted to show in this was the specific like effect of how good it feels, right?
Oh, hitting 0 takes me to like a master zoom level.
Yep, it takes you back to your reset zoom.
Slurp.
Yeah, so use it. I have a like there's a camera offset, and then there's a target camera offset. So target camera offset is always set to like the final zoom that I want, and then the camera offset interpolates into that value. Klepto frog. Yep.
Yeah.
So you used to see like calc camera. There it is.
Okay.
So on line 227, that target camera scale, that's where I want the camera to eventually be. So when you press plus and minus, it changes the target camera scale value to be that final value.
Okay.
But then on line 236 and 237, that's where I do what we call the lerp. So on line 26, basically I say I want to converge to that point by a distance of 20%. So if you're 100 away, now you're 80 pixels away, but now 80 pixels, 20% of 80 is not a full 20 pixels. And so you eventually, it's called a smooth stop. So it starts off really fast, but then it slowly converges to that final value. So, but the same concepts are there. You got your camera X, camera Y, you got your offset, and then your scale, instead of scale being a value that you immediately pin to, I set another value and then converge to it.
Nice. Okay, so all this camera movement stuff isn't really terribly complicated. It's just a matter of getting your brain wrapped around it.
Right, and that's why I wanted to start with like keyboard. It's like, okay, well, can we understand how the camera, when you press left on the keyboard, how does it shift the camera over? What do you want the center to be? And then that becomes that kind of becomes your I guess your model for how to reason about cameras.
Yeah.
But it really resolves to those three properties: X, Y, scale.
Nice.
And then it's a decision on how you want to control that and movement around that specific facet.
Right. So if I was I'm doing left and right here, and it's actually moving that way. If I had, let's say, a player, and I wanted to move the player left and right, I would just invert the way the map is moved.
Correct. You would keep the player in the center, like the simple camera, and then your map would be the thing that moves, but the player would be stationary. And then what happens there is that when you have like different sprites on the screen, let's say that's not on the render target, you render everything relative to the player.
Ah.
Right, everything gets offset by the player value.
Nice.
And that's what KleptoFrog is doing.
Okay. Well, hey.
But yeah, the simple camera, I would definitely. I don't even think it's like even 200 lines of code. I think it's fairly small code base.
Yeah, the main is 92. Oh.
Yeah, 93 lines. And use this as your starting template as far as specifically how what actually gets sent to args.outputs, because this uses a render target just like you're doing. It does everything that you're doing. So it's just a matter of looking at the specific camera properties, which are X, Y, and scale, and that's it. And then mapping those to like, okay, if you want mouse movement, what does that look like? When you move to the right, how does that translate to the keyboard movement? Is it plus X plus Y?
Yep. If the player reaches the edge of the map, would you then move the player or just let it scroll past the map? Good question. I guess that's a design decision.
This simple camera, yeah, it's a design decision. This sample lab gives you two modes, where if you zoom out enough to where you're at the edge of the map, it will either center on the player or it will move the player. And if you press tab, it shifts between those two modes within the simple camera sample lab. Yeah, if you search for the word tab, you'll see how the map changes between the two. In the other one.
Oh, in the simple camera?
Yeah, in the simple camera. Just look for the word tab.
Ah. Okay.
And so I have a flag that says, if I want to show empty space, then I keep the player centered. If I don't, then when I'm at the map's edge, I start moving the player over.
Okay. But again, that kind of depends on design decisions for your game and how you want the presentation to go and that kind of stuff. But you can do either way.
Yeah.
Or really sophisticated crap, probably, if you really want to.
I'm gonna see if I can find this link real quick, because just to show you like the complexity of cameras and camera Twitter. Please Discord. From because this would be a fantastic kind of send off thing if I can find it.
Awesome.
And let's see, Google, Twitter, and I go to images. Twitter, Google, everything is failing me.
Of course it is.
Everything is failing me. Well, wait, maybe I'm gonna give it 30 more seconds.
Okay. I'm down.
Boom, found it. Look at that.
Sire, we
I'll
get
post
another one.
I'll post it in the Zoom.
Got it.
Yeah, so if you bring that up, this goes into like it's a thread about from a guy that's like, okay, what does it really take to make a really good camera? And he starts off simply with, okay, let's say I just want the camera to not go to the edge. All right, well, everyone starts like that, but that's not enough. And then he goes to the next video saying that, well, now you want to move the character over, right? So this is the lazy follow that I was doing. He's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. So then he fixes that, but then you're like, okay, well, what about vertical jumps? So he starts exploring, well, how should the camera move when Mario jumps up or down? And how does that settle? And then it's like, well, Mario jumping up and down within the current space versus maybe getting like the what's it called, the feather, and then flying upwards. And each one of those facets changes how your camera behavior. And it's just to your point, is that those foundational pieces help, and it's good to understand those concepts. So like this is like, okay, I've got a bounding box to follow my camera instead of following it directly on the player. And it depends on your game, and it depends on the framing of whatever you're building. So these camera concepts may not work for your specific game, but he's showing that these are the things you need to take into consideration: verticality, scaling, horizontal movement. How do you fix these things? What are the techniques that you use?
Yeah, but I mean, all in all, it's still down to those fundamental basic concepts. It's just different ways to put them together. Yeah, because
that's an aspect of Dragon Ruby, is that we don't give you a camera object because of the complexity of camera, but we try to show, here are the fundamental concepts that you need to understand. Here are the properties that you need to take into consideration.
Yeah, that's good. Good. All right. Well, we accomplished what I wanted to accomplish today, and then some. So that was great. And you've been a great teacher, Amir. So thank you very much for coming and
My pleasure.
And showing us
Thank
that.
you for saving me from taxes. Gosh.
Anytime, man. Chat,
thank you.
Work with me on finding more excuses to get Amir to come on with us on Tuesdays and play with us, because it's so much fun and we get so much done when that happens. I will do some cleaning up of this code because it needs some refactoring, but I think everybody's got the concepts right. So we learned some things about camera movement and all that fun stuff. So we will be back, assuming my computer doesn't die again. I'll be back next Tuesday. Actually, we'll be back Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with the Rubber Duck Dev Show. We've got Chris Oliver coming on to talk about what has happened. Yeah, backups, right? What kind of has been the hosting conundrum since Heroku shakeup stuff, and what's happening with Hatchbox and those kind of things. So we're going to look at some hosting fun. But then Tuesday we'll be back here doing the fun programming, stuff that everybody enjoys. So hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please, mash all the buttons and ding all the bells. We're here on Twitch and YouTube. So whichever one you're on, just, which things you're supposed to push. So we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you very much, Amir. And until next time,
Always a pleasure.
happy programming.